2025 CSLB Contractors License Law and Business Questions and Answers, Part 5. By Paint Thinner Gang. These are practice questions. These are not the exact same questions the state will give you. These Q&A will help you pass by studying them. Who needs a contractor's license in California? Anyone performing construction work worth $1,000 or more, including labor and materials. What is the minimum age to apply for a contractor's license? You must be at least 18 years old. Do I need a Social Security number, SSN, or ITIN to apply? Yes, one of these is required for the application. How much experience do I need to qualify? You need 4 years of journeyman-level experience within the last 10 years. Can education count toward the experience requirement? Yes, but it can only replace part of the required 4 years. Q. What trades or classifications require a license? A. General building, specialty trades like plumbing, electrical, and over 40 other classifications. Can I hold multiple classifications under one license? Yes, as long as you meet the requirements for each classification. What is the CSLB? The California Contractors State License Board, the agency that regulates licensing. Can I operate as a contractor without a license? No. Doing so is illegal if the work exceeds $1,000. What penalties apply for unlicensed contracting? Fines, legal action, and disqualification from applying for a license for a specified period. How do I start the application process? Submit the application for Original Contractor License, Form 13A-1. Where can I obtain the application form? From the CSLB website. Can I submit the application online? No. Applications must be mailed or hand-delivered. How much does the application fee cost? Approximately $450, subject to updates by CSLB. How long does CSLB take to process the application? Usually 6 to 8 weeks, but it can vary. Can I apply for a license if I live outside California? Yes, but you must comply with all California requirements. Do I need to choose a business structure before applying? Yes, select a sole proprietorship, partnership, corporation, or LLC. Can I apply for multiple licenses under one business entity? Yes, if the classifications and requirements are met. What happens if my application is incomplete? CSLB will return it, and you'll need to correct and resubmit it. Is the application fee refundable? No, the fee is non-refundable. Who can verify my experience? Employers, licensed contractors, clients, or other professionals familiar with your work. Can family members verify my experience? Yes, but CSLB may request additional proof. Do I need to provide detailed documentation? Yes, CSLB may require photos, permits, or contracts to verify your experience. What is journeyman level experience? Experience performing trade work without supervision. Does volunteer work count toward experience? Yes, but it must be verifiable. Can union apprenticeships count toward experience? Yes, they are considered verifiable experience. What if I don't have 4 years of experience? You may need to gain more experience or use partial credit from education. Can I apply with foreign work experience? Yes, but it must be properly documented and translated if necessary. Can my experience be split between different trades? Yes, but you must meet the 4-year requirement for each classification. Does CSLB contact references directly? Sometimes, especially if additional verification is needed. What exams are required for a license? A trade exam and a law and business exam. How can I prepare for the exams? Use CSLB study guides or attend preparation courses offered by licensing schools. What topics are covered in the law and business exam? California construction laws, safety regulations, and business management. Are there separate exams for each classification? Yes, the trade exam is specific to your classification. Can I request exam accommodations? Yes, CSLB provides accommodations for disabilities. What happens if I fail an exam? You can retake it after paying a rescheduling fee. How many times can I retake an exam? You can retake it as many times as needed, within an 18-month period. Can I waive the exams? A. In rare cases, such as holding an equivalent license in another state. Are exams open book? No, exams are closed book. How long does it take to receive exam results? Results are usually available immediately after testing. Q. What is a contractor's bond? A. A $25,000 bond that protects consumers from contractor misconduct. Where do I get a contractor's bond? From insurance companies or surety bond providers. How much does a contractor's bond cost? The cost varies, typically $100 to $300 per year, depending on credit. Is general liability insurance required? It's not required by CSLB but is recommended for additional protection. What is workers' compensation insurance? Insurance required if you have employees, covering workplace injuries. Can I file a workers' compensation exemption? Yes, if you don't have employees. What happens if I don't maintain a bond? Your license will be suspended. Do I need proof of insurance before applying? No, but it must be in place before your license is issued. How often do I need to renew my bond? Annually, or as per your provider's terms. Can my bond provider cancel my bond? Yes, if you fail to pay premiums or breach the bond terms. What must all employees hired on or after November 7, 1986 must complete form to verify their employment eligibility status? A. I-9. When must an employer require and complete Form I-9 for new hires? C. Within 3 business days of the date of hire. What is the maximum hours in a day a miner may work? 8 hours. What is considered a job-related direct cost? C. Performance bond. Can you pay minors less than you would an adult for the same job? B and O. What percent do suppliers offer to contractors who pay their bills promptly? A. Typically between 1% to 2%. This would be for credit account at their store. When building plans are approved by the permit agency Josh office, what is the next step? A. Review the plans and proceed with revisals. A hard laborer may not be younger than A. 16 years old. An employer can only lawfully deny employment if A. There is no ability to verify their legal right to work. The Truth in Lending Act was enacted in A. Igizerkilinch Sajadvanyolk. Where is vehicle insurance listed on an income statement? A. Operating expenses. The Truth in Lending Act applies to home improvements because A. Ensure transparency in lending practices such as disclosure of APR interest rates, finance charges, right of rescission, etc. Can a contractor ask an applicant in an interview about arrests? A. No, only actual convictions. If a newly hired employee does not provide a SSN on the initial employment application, what can happen? A. Social Security can issue a SSN if they are legally allowed to work, or they will be denied employment. If there is a general contractor that hires you for a public work project, what are you considered? A. A subcontractor of the prime contractor. A B 2040 requires contractors to inquire clients whether asbestos is present in any building constructed prior to A. Igizerkilinch Sajet Venyolk. What does workers' compensation insurance covers? A. Injuries or illnesses that are job-related. Prime contractor must pay the subcontractor within how many days after receiving a progress payment? A. 10 days. Which of the following jobs does not require a contractor's license? A. Any job under $1,000. Who should provide drinkable water to employees? A. The contractor is their employer. How many days of inactivity must pass before a notice of cessation may be recorded? A. 30 days. If a contractor's license is issued on January 11, 2025, on what date will the license need to be renewed by? A. January 31st, 2027. Who ultimately is responsible for having safety equipment on the job site? A. The contractor. Should there be a safety supervisor be on a job site? A. Yes, typically the foreman on smaller jobs, but if working on large jobs, it'll typically be done an independent company or individual. Who is responsible for providing employees with first aid training? A. The contractor. If a joint control addendum is used on a home improvement contract, who needs to sign? A. The owner, the contractor, and the joint control officer. If a salesperson completes a contract with a client in a different language, the contract must be in A. The same language the salesperson communicated. Who is responsible for checking the site before the building inspector arrives for inspections? A. The contractor. DOSH must investigate a complaint stating that a serious violation of health or safety standards has occurred within A. 3 working days. What is the best way to choose among different companies that offer insurance, workers' comp, bonds? A. Cost and coverage. What type of insurance policy covers multiple types of hazards associated with constriction? A. Umbrella. An employee works 50 hours in 1 week. If the hourly wage rate is $15, what are the gross wages? A. $825. Example. Straight time 40 times $15 equals $600. Overtime, 1.5 times 15. 10 times $22.5 equals $225. Total, $825. What represents a company's financial position on time frames? A. Balance sheet. An employer must furnish an employee with a completed IRS Form W-2, wage and tax statement, by A. January 31st. What is the strictest measure of liquidity? A. Quick ratio. The Federal Employer Identification Number, EIN, is issued by A. The Internal Revenue Service. How often are FICA taxes reported and paid? A. Quarterly. Who pays FUTA? A. The employer. Who pays FICA? A. 50% employer and 50% employee. What summarizes revenues, cost of sales, and operating expenses over a period of time? A. Income statement. Employers must report every work-related illness or injury to their workers' compensation carrier within A. 5 days. If required safety devices are missing from tools, what should an employee do? A. Stop what they are doing, notify whoever responsible for safety. That might be the foreman, supervisor, etc. How often should Toolbox Toolgate meetings be held? A. At least once every 10 working days. What happens after an employee's taxable wages exceed $7,000? A. After $7,000, the employer stops paying FUTA.